Welcome back, everybody. So glad to be joined by Coach Tony Martinez, the head coach of Belmont, the defending state champions for Division III boys. Coach, thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Drew. Big fan of your show. I love what you're doing. Really pumped to talk with you this afternoon.
Like I just said, you guys won the state championship last year. Interestingly enough, it was your first championship for boys basketball in school history. So I just kind of wanted to hear about the significance of all of that, what went on behind the scenes that we might not know about. And then also coaching your son, I think is pretty cool as well.
Yeah, I mean, with any basketball season, there's a lot that happens behind the scenes. I've always said I'd love to film a documentary about just how much the coaching staff, parents, administration put into a basketball season, especially a championship season. But it was a lot of fun. It was a special group of guys that I had the pleasure of coaching, a lot of them from the time they were in like fifth or sixth grade, off and on. And it was fun to see their growth, not just as basketball players, but as young men, and how they approached everything that I threw at them, and the demands of the season. I mean, a basketball season is a grind, and the way that they were able to deal with all the adversity and everything truly made the season special. Winning at Keene.
Something that you guys had last year that virtually nobody else had was the crazy amount of size for your starting lineup and some of your bench as well. No doubt, because we're seeing that this year with how tall your guys are. There was a lot of really, really good guard play that seemed to be a common thread throughout the division. And Coach Camp is somebody who takes away that size really well and seems to be able to even it out. I saw it the other night against Hopkinton. We talked about that yesterday. So I just kind of want to get your thoughts on coaching against him and what that coaching matchup was like, and also the guys you had and it was like coaching them for the last time you're seniors.
Yeah, I mean, Camper's one of the best, if not the best. He has such a good way of getting his players to play at their absolute max level of talent. And even his small guys that are, 6 feet, maybe even a little under, play like they're 6'5", 6'6", just because they play with so much guts, so much determination out there. I think in the championship, I think it was Noah Whipple who was guarding Keegan most of the time. And I've looked back at pictures and videos many times of that game, and you just see Noah right in Keegan's body, pushing him around, boxing him out. I mean, it was not an easy contest by any means. I think a lot of teams this year are going to have the same formula. You saw it just the other night, probably live with the Hopkinton Kearsarge game. Kearsarge went right in there, and they weren't intimidated by the size, and they battled, and they got the W. So I think a lot of teams this year, their guards are going to be physical. They're going to have to guard big players. And I think a lot of coaches around the league are going to follow kind of the formula that Camp did last year to compete with the bigger teams.
That's right on. So now let's just talk about your summer program, because you lost 3 really tremendous athletes. You had Keegan, Anakin both graduate, and then Trayshawn Ray went to a different school. So I was just curious, how do you replace all that? Because you're number 1 in my preseason poll. You're number 1 in most people's preseason polls entering the year. It seems like you guys had a really, really great offseason and a lot of great guys in there putting in the work.
Yeah, I mean, we're lucky at Belmont that we have a lot of basketball talent at a lot of different levels. And this group that I have this year, most of the guys were either on the bench on last year's team or they were JV players. But man, they work so hard and they want to compete and win. And I think that's a product of us winning. They got to experience, or most of the guys got to experience, the championship run. And one thing that I've conveyed to them, since last June is, I don't care if you played 30 minutes a game or 1 minute or didn't play, you are a defending state champion. And because I know that teams are going to come at us this year. So I wanted to get my guys in that mindset that they are champions, and I want them to play that way, no matter, what their role was last year. And they really adopted that. And the guys, not only do they want to defend the title, they kind of want to write their own story. And I think coming off a championship, that's a little piece of motivation that you can give your teams to take that next step and fill in for guys like Keegan, Anakin, and Trey. Because honestly, you don't replace those guys. You just hope that you can put guys in the right position to try to get that production, that they had. And that's what we've been doing all offseason, is really working on finding guys to fill roles and to do the things, that they did, not individually, but maybe, 2 or 3 guys pick up the slack for Keegan's rebounding, or, things like that. And we've had guys answer the call, and it's been great.
How do you feel this team differentiates from last year? Because last year, as we mentioned, you were very strong with your starting 5. Those top 3 there were really tremendous. Do you feel like your bench is maybe, your starters aren't quite as like top heavy, but you have a deeper team now, or is the team's a little bit taller, or is there anything like kind of that you can note and say, yeah, we were a little bit different here and here from last season?
Yeah, I think we're actually a bigger team overall this year as far as top to bottom. We kind of start at like the 6 foot range and range from 6 foot to 6'5" across the board. I mean, we got a couple guys under 6 feet, but we're a pretty level big, team. We don't have the 2 towers like we had last year, but we've got size. I mean, my 2 starting guards, my 2 guard and my 3 guard are both 6'4". So we have a lot of size at every position this year, which is a little bit different than last year. And then our depth, I easily could go 10 deep this year and not worry about who I'm putting on the floor. And even my 11th and 12th guys can play. And I've had a couple nice surprises. I had a kid that came back. He's a baseball guy, Braden Townsend, who came back after not playing last year, who's just an ultimate glue guy, doesn't care about playing time, just will do whatever I ask. And then I have another player who hasn't played for 2 years, 6'3", another kind of slashing guard, Gino Montalto, who, again, is another great rebounder, just a freakish athlete, that's immediately been helping us right away. As far as 2 players I wasn't expecting to have that kind of have fallen in my lap. So it's been good.
That certainly helps out a lot. So when you're taking over a program, they like Belmont, who hasn't won before, they had a good coach in Jim Silly before you got there, and then you get there. What do you do as the head coach to make this group believe, like, hey, we might not have won a championship here before, but it's certainly possible we could do it in the first couple of years with us all together here? Like, what do you do? What buttons do you push to set stuff in motion to make all that come together?
I think the first thing that I like to do is I want to give my players an experience. I try to, from my background as a player and coaching many levels, I try to treat the guys kind of like a college program. We get a lot of gear. We have meetings where I hold guys very accountable. I kind of make it so they feel like it's a little bit bigger than just a high school sport, and I want them to believe that they're doing something special, because at the end of the day, 90% of these guys are not going to play serious competitive basketball after high school. And so I really try to give them that experience so they look back and be like, man, that was fun, And I think if you get the guys to believe in that and enjoy it, they naturally want to come to practice. They'll do the hard work. I took right after tryouts, I took the varsity team. We hiked Gunstock, in the cold and snow, and all the guys showed up. They start doing and buying in on those little things, and it just brings everything together.
That's awesome. I love that. Real culture right there. So in terms of the hunger to win a championship, you always have that initially before you haven't done it, and then you do it, and there's like a couple different directions that can go in following a championship. Some people are going to be like, okay, we already climbed the mountaintop, we're good. There's other people that are like, Oh my gosh, we just got to experience it and it was 10 times better than I imagined. I just want to win it 10 times more. And then there's also the cliche coach's answer that you could give me, which is, oh, come on, Drew, we always want to win a championship. So just what's your emotion, what's your feeling towards trying to do it again after experience having done it last year?
Well, a minute ago, I used the word accountability, right? And so with winning a championship, what I love about following up with that is that even though the personnel and the players are different, we have a formula that worked. So we know how to hold the guys accountable towards that formula. And what's beautiful about this group is that they've all fallen in and they know of what our formula is, and it's basically defend, rebound, run. And that was what really helped us last year. And with this year's team, immediately they bought in. I mean, we've got T-shirts made and everything, and guys are chanting it in practice, and so you build that. And yeah, I mean, every year you want to win, but let's be real, like you can't win it every year. It just talent, personnel. There's good teams and things like that come up, but if you can get them to push themselves and stick with the formula that we have, you get your talented players to play at a high level and you get your sub-talented players to play at a high level. And then it makes everybody just work hard. I mean, I love every team that I've coached. I always say the first team that I ever had at Belmont, I wish I had them for more than one season. Obviously, last year was a championship team, but I find myself this year really excited to go to practice. Like these guys are they're fun. And it's been really good to go to practice.
Diving into what you've done so far, you're 4-0. 3 of your wins have come on the road. You started off with a dominant 76-7 win at Berlin, which is quite the trip. Then you won 57-47 at Guilford. That's a big rival, kind of next door to you guys geographically. Just take us through those first couple games, what you saw from your guys, and what you enjoyed the most about those games.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, being the defending champs, we have a target on our back. So our mantra going into every game is knowing that beating a team beating us is going to propel that team forward. Especially obviously, this year we've had a lot of good preseason rankings and things like that. So we know teams are coming for us. So one of our thing is like, no matter where we are, whether it's the road or home, like we know that we have to defend our title, and it starts in every game. It starts, going on those long trips to Berlin, who are rivals in Guilford, and everything. And I really love the way the guys have bought into that mindset with everything.
You had your home opener this week against Winnisquam, another neighbor next door to Belmont. 54-31, no problem there, taking care of business. And then went at Campbell, 169-24. Campbell, they've lost some pieces. I think Justin's a great coach, but they've lost some pieces. And if I'm not mistaken, that's the one loss you guys had last year. So was there additional motivation perhaps going into that one?
I'd be lying to tell you no. I love Justin. Justin is a coach in the division that I talk to quite a bit. He's a great young coach. He gets the most out of his players, just like Camp does. And but my guys that were on that team last year, last year we really had a goal. We wanted to go undefeated. We wanted to try to have that perfect season. And Justin just socked us right in the jaw when we went down there, hit us with something we weren't ready for and we couldn't adjust. So some of the guys that were on that team last year, that are on the team this year, kind of like, I heard it. I didn't preach it, but again, I heard the guys being like, yeah, like this is revenge. We got to win hit down here, and everything. So again, when you have players that are self-motivating themselves and each other, and you don't have to sit there and give them these speeches and everything to get them going, that's exciting because the guys are going to play hard. So yeah, there was a little internal motivation with my guys, I think, going into Campbell Friday.
All right. And then I think you have them coming up again, looking at your schedule here. Looks like you got them at home tomorrow now. So
Yeah.
back to back, which is interesting. Is there anything different in terms of preparation? Like you expect Justin's going to make some adjustments with his guys to adjust the things that you did really well the other day?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's really kind of a unique situation to have a home and away against a quality team that's tough. Um, they're going to come into our place, again, wanting to beat us. And they're going to make adjustments and do some different things, just like we will. And but no, I think this is a great situation for my guys because the way Division III is so compact in its season, with a lot of games and very little practice time, this is a good mental test for my guys to stay motivated. Yes, we had a big win, but one thing we do is we never look behind and we never look ahead. We look at the opponent that's right in front of us. And even during games, we break things down into quarters. We play 4 8-minute games and we try to win each 8-minute game. So, I told the guys Friday, enjoy it, have the day off Saturday, but come Sunday, it's time to go to work and we're facing Campbell again. And I don't care what happened on Friday. We need to prepare for Monday. And the guys do a really good job of having that mindset. So I think this is a great situation to just continue to build on that and work with that.
In terms of what comes after, in between, in the middle of the break there, I think you guys have a Lakes Region holiday tournament or something. Just fill me in on that.
But we go over to Farmington to the Mike Lee Bash,
Okay.
actually, because I love what Rick and Guilford does with the Lakes Region tournament. But I mean, honestly, I don't want to play all those guys 3 times. And it's a lot of the teams we see, and it's a lot of teams we're going to see in the second half of the season. So the Farmington Bash gives us an opportunity to play against. I mean, we open up against PCA, Portsmouth Christian, who's the number 1 team in Division IV.
Yep.
And then when we start the elimination round, we're playing D2 Kennett, who's off to a good start in D2. So it gives us an opportunity to play some teams we don't see that are good quality teams. And you got Kingswood, Co-Brown in it. There's a couple other Division IV teams that are pretty solid. So it's a really good tournament to kind of work on things. And if you go to the championship, you play 4 or 5 games. So it's good just to work out all the kinks and get some players some minutes as you prepare for the second half of the season.
I like that. Can you talk more specifically about how you treat that? Because I know there's coaches who have talked about treating that kind of like as a tune-up. In the past, there's other coaches who are just like, let's just have fun and not get injured, or let's try some new things out there. What specifically are you looking to work on with your guys?
Well, I mean, we have a point guard that will be our backup point guard that's coming off an ACL, and he just got cleared to start playing. So, obviously the goal is to get him some minutes and start working him in with some stuff. But, I'm big on keeping the same mindset. Yes, it's a Christmas tournament, and it really, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really mean anything, and nobody's going to go back and really remember what you did at your holiday tournament. But I think if you don't keep the mindset of what you're trying to build, then you can forget it. And especially this year where the break is a little longer. Like, we don't play again in the regular season until January 7th. So this is good in between to keep the guys fresh, keep working on rotations, and work on a few new wrinkles that we're going to have for the second half of the season. So, to a quick answer is we play it straight up. We work on the things we need to work on, but we don't really deviate from our ultimate plan.
Okay. Coach Camp and I talked about this yesterday, which was the general scope of the division. Last year, it was a very strong guard play division with not a lot of tall teams. You guys obviously being one of the only tall teams in the division last year. everybody does their writing of what they predict, but nobody knows exactly what's going to happen until we get to the season. Now that we're into the season for a couple of weeks now, what have you seen from the division? What do you think are like the key things specific to this year that you really need to nail down and do well to have a good chance in the tournament that comes up in February?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think all the teams. I'll start with like the teams that were lower in the standings a year ago. I think all those teams immediately have improved. You have your Dairyfields, your Prospects, Monadnock. You have a lot of these teams that have really come around and I think that they can sneak up on anybody and win in any given night. We just saw Winnisquam, who already has 2 wins on the season, or their first win, I believe, where they didn't even have a win last year. So everybody's improved. You saw Interlakes take St. Thomas to the wire, at their place. So I think all those teams have improved and are going to be a teams that you can't look beyond. As far as the top, I mean, you have your usual suspects. Your Mascomas, your St. Thomas, Fall Mountain's right there. Kearsarge is always right there. Stevens has come out of the cellar a little bit, playing, really well, really strong.
They look great. I saw them this week. They've looked really great against Newport.
Yeah. So, I mean, in Guilford's good. We might have won that game, but it's December basketball and they're big. And they've got a great little point guard. They've got other pieces that have experience. I mean, they're going to be there right at the end. I've heard lots of good things about your Hawks, over there. Westover is killing people in the paint and everything. And they're gonna keep figuring things out. And I think just like with what happened with us last year at Campbell, I think this loss to Kearsarge might even woke up a sleeping giant even more. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes you need that to carry over. So they're definitely a team that's going to be there. But yeah, St. Thomas, they're gonna. I heard some things like they're trying to still figure things out. I mean, they're good. It's going to be a battle, and record and positioning or ranking in the tournament this year is going to be very important. And I think you're going to see some massive quarterfinal battles this year, more than kind of like that St. Thomas Campbell game of a year ago, which was really a semifinal game in a lot of people's minds. I think you're going to see a lot of that this year, where the quarters are going to be just war, and to get to that Final Four. So home court advantage and where guys end up is really going to be important this year.
That's great information, Coach. I appreciate you mentioning that. That makes me very excited for what's coming up later on this season. I'm looking forward to seeing how everything unfolds. Now, I just kind of want to close with this. I asked the same thing to Coach Camp. What's your message out there to my audience, to the viewers who want to know about you, want to know about Belmont, and just how you go about being a high school coach?
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, to see guys buy into what you're trying to teach and go out there and do it on the court and enjoy doing it. It's just a feeling. It's hard to describe it. It's really rewarding, I guess, is the best word I can use. We've had a slogan since I've taken over at Belmont called "We Are One." And I've never changed that. Some coaches change things each year, and I've never changed that because I truly believe, like, from our varsity, JV, middle school program, everything, I've tried to form it where we are one, and it also with our parents and fans and everything. And it's an all-encompassing thing that we really try to focus on at Belmont. And we try to make everybody feel like they're part of something special. It's really worked out, when you got students chanting it and different things, that it's sinking in. And I've even seen some other teams around the state kind of take the same slogan. And to me, it's kind of flattering. I don't get upset. It's like, oh, okay, you see what we're doing. Now you want to try to bring people in. So it shows that we're on the right path and we're doing something right. And I think as a coach, at the end of the day, that's all you really want to do, is you want you want to always try to put your players in a position to succeed. And it doesn't always mean on the court, but in life. And that's something that we really preach at Belmont is, we want to see guys succeed no matter what.
Coach, thanks so much for coming on the show. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, Drew. I really appreciate you having me. It's great talking to you as always.
Please subscribe to the channel and like the video to help me expand my local sports coverage. Thank you.